Uh, Good afternoon, councillors. Just a reminder when speaking to use your mic. But good afternoon, councillors and staff, and welcome to the Cabonne Council Ordinary Meeting for April 2024. Please be advised that this council meeting is being recorded and live streamed. By speaking at this meeting, you agree to being recorded and live streamed to ensure Please ensure that if and when you speak, you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Cabonne Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this meeting. The recording of this meeting will be made publicly available on the Council's website. I will call item number 1, applications for leave of absence. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Rawson. One application for leave of absence being Mayor Beattie. I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item number 2, declarations of interest. Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Nash. Are there any declarations?
I'm declaring an interest in item 12, page 17, the sponsorship item as President Molan Advancement Group, and step out.
Thank you, Councillor Batten. There being no other declarations, I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. Item number 3, declarations of political donations. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor O'Brien. Are there any declarations? None to declare. Thank you. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item number 4, committee of the whole. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor Nash. Is there any items councillors wish to call? No? Thank you. I'll put that then. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item number 5, the mayoral minute of appointments. I will move that, and can I just start with, we might all stand actually, and just a minute silence for former councillor Paul Mullen, who served on the previous council. Okay, thank you. As councillors and staff would be aware, Councillor Mullins passed away earlier this month and had a funeral service in Canberra last Monday and a memorial service which was attended by myself, Councillor Batten, and Councillor Nash on Saturday. Councillor Batten, did you want to just make the remarks you did on Saturday about the work that Paul has done in our community, please?
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Mayor. The service on Saturday was very well attended by people from a broad cross-section, including our federal member, Andrew G. When we're at the service, we acknowledge his contribution to council and the fact that Paul, as a member of council from 2017 to 2021, the previous council, he was a well-respected councillor. And one thing about him, he was passionate about advocating for Molong. And as I commented on Saturday, was the views that he had on advocating for Molong around the flooding issues. And he did that on the previous one prior to 2022, and little did we know that Councillor Mullins and his partner were going to be absolutely slammed by the flooding event in 2022 where they lost their home. But Councillor Mullins, he was an important part of the community as owner of the Express newspaper, and he was always a voice of reason in that paper. You know, it certainly made the paper a very, very respected community newspaper. And one of the important parts also was the part of the paper called Reg's Bench, where he actually included every time some jokes, some humour in the paper. And as I said at the time on Saturday, I would defy anybody to read Reg's Bench and not get a chuckle out of it, because he did have a very good sense of humour. And Paul was one of those people that actually you could use as a sounding board, which I did on a number of occasions as president of MAG. I have to say, I always got good counsel from Paul. So he's not only well respected in Molan, but he was well respected across Cabonne, and he was a strong advocate for Cabonne. He would go out to the other communities, and he'd bring back from those communities and willingly put it into the paper. It wasn't just a Molan paper; it was a Cabonne paper. And interestingly enough, the day after tomorrow is the Anzac Day, and one of the things that Paul really did enjoy doing was going out to Oberley to their morning service. He, I think just about every time he got the opportunity, put his hand up to be the councillor who went to Oberley, and he commented on just how good a service that was with the sun coming up over the cenotaph out there. So his loss is reverberating through the community, and will be for a while. And certainly, I think from a council perspective, we would, I think, pass our best wishes and our condolences to his partner Rosie and their families.
Thank you, Councillor Batten. On behalf of Cabonne Council, we certainly do pass our sympathies on to Rosie and her family. I will table a report. The Mayor has also tabled a report. Has he? No? Okay, yep. The Mayor's tabled a report, I've tabled a report. Councillor Rawson has tabled a report. Councillor Nash?
Yeah, just thank you. Thank you for allowing me this time. I just want to thank you all for the support and kindness you have shown me with messages and offers for help when my husband was suddenly taken ill. GM Brad, Deputies GMs Matthew and Heather, Mayor Kevin and all councillors have given me the time to work through this unexpected trauma. May I say that I've always regarded my time as a councillor as a privilege and honour to work alongside like-minded people. Our only aim is to help our communities with their needs and wants, and I feel we do our best. Cabonne villages and towns have been given the chance to come to us, and I feel we have achieved what we could. And I want to thank you, all you councillors, past and present, for your support for women in sport and for the wonderful dressing shed at Manilda. I would like to see a plaque erected on those dressing sheds so the community understands that Cabonne Council contributed so much for this to be, and it is a wonderful finish that they are. I wait in anticipation to see Yagara amenities and that we can continue to support our young women for their contribution to local sport. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nash, and well said. And thank you for your contribution to council and to those women's change rooms. Any other reports?
Yeah, I'll table one.
Councillor Paul and Councillor Weaver.
Yes, I'll table one. Deputy Mayor, can I just add a sentence to that too, talking about women in sport? Council would be happy to know that Emily Thomas from Canowindra has been selected in the Australian team. I think she's going to Fiji for the shot put. Is it shot put she does? Yes, I think so. Hammer throw. Sorry. And she was. She let me know that the new netting equipment that's been installed at the Sports Trust has really been a benefit. So, and it's actually, when you go past there, the number of children that are lined up there to have a go at it, I think it's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just follow on from Councillor Nash's comments too. Although we haven't had an official opening of the new building at Canowindra, we have used it twice. And the first home game, I'm sure I saw some of the female athletes' eyes glaze over that they were given such good facilities compared to what we have had. And even the opposition team couldn't believe that they were getting treated the same as traditionally men. So it was actually a really nice day the first time we played there. And yeah, having two daughters of myself that play out of those dressing sheds, I think it's good that we're leaders to support.
Thank you. Councillor Batten.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Deputy Mayor. Just want to acknowledge two things. One, obviously this has been a quiet month for me, which has been good actually. However, I actually went to the Oval and District Progress Association meeting on the 2nd of April, and there's been a change in the executive out there where Nikki Tremaine Hennock, who's been the secretary for the last few years, and Nikki's done a tremendous job and has done an excellent job of keeping council, I think, informed of what's been going on at the Oval. So I just wanted to acknowledge the contribution that Nikki made as the secretary of that Progress Association. In fact, she did such a good job that there actually are two people doing it now for the next period of time. So I think that's just credit to the capability that Nikki did. We haven't lost her completely because she's going to retain the job as a satellite editor, so we still expect to get the same quality of the paper from Yeovil, from the Yeovil satellite. So, thank you.
Thank you. If there's nothing further, I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item number 6, the confirmation of minutes. Can I please have a mover? Councillor Rawson, seconded. Councillor O'Ryan. Is there any concern or comment on the minutes? Oh, excellent, thank you. I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item number 7, the confirmation of Pool Advisory Committee meeting minutes. Moved by Councillor Poole, seconded by Councillor Nash. Any comment on those?
Yeah, just a comment. I thought it was a very good meeting. Good slideshow attached to the business papers for those that weren't there, and I like the way everyone at that meeting, staff and volunteers, prepared to look outside the square to make things work and improve.
Thank you. Well said. We've certainly come a long way in the last couple of years with our pools, and exciting new developments coming over the next couple of years. So I will put that. If there's nothing further, all those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. Item number 8, the confirmation of the Cabon Floodplain Management Advisory Committee meeting minutes. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Rawson. Is there any discussion? Okay, I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. Item number 9, the 2024 National General Assembly motions. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Rawson. Anyone wish to discuss those? I know they've been workshopped. Excellent. All those, I'll put that then. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. Item number 10, the Integrated Planning and Reporting Public Exhibition. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Is there any discussion? No?
I had a couple of questions, which there's no way I could find them again in here. Just on the draft fees, there were two that just stuck out, whether they're typos or not typos, and one is on the pools and one is on the draft fees for the Malon Community Centre, where they've actually gone, they're less this year than they were last year. And is that a typo, or is it, because because I can't see why they'd be less. And we're scraping for money. Yep.
Councillor Paul, if it's okay, we might just take that question on notice and look into that and come back to you after the meeting, if that's okay?
Yeah, there's too many pages for me to scroll. I haven't noted it. I'll show you after the meeting. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, and just before I put that item, can I just acknowledge our finance team who've done a tremendous amount of work in working with all areas of council to deliver this draft budget and our operational plan and fees and charges. So thank you to our finance team and also to Joe's team who've done a tremendous job as well in terms of working across the council to pull this all together. We've obviously spoke about the long-term financial plan and our plans for the future. So yeah, we're all well informed, and council is certainly in a good place in terms of knowing what we need to do over the coming years. So I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. Item number 11, the Events Assistance Program. Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Nash. Is there any comments? Okay, I will put that. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That is carried. Thank you. Item number 12, the sponsorship program. Noting that Councillor Batten has declared a conflict of interest in leaving the room. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Nash. Is there any discussion? Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I support it, what is being suggested here, but it just a question really. Does this mean then that the following year they'll use the 6,000 for one event and then presumably apply for another 6,000 for the second event, which leaves us with a little bit of money in the kitty for sponsorship of other things? Is that the plan? Is that the idea?
Yeah, I might just ask our leader of community, economy and culture to come forward and answer that, please.
Through you, Mr. Chair. It is 6,000 for one event. In the past, we've sponsored them to the value of $15,000, and that's paid for 3 events. But I understand that there's been an increase in costs, particularly around some of the road requirements that they need to do as part of the safety. So that's why it's increased slightly in value for each event, and they've reduced the number of events next year. In terms of that rolling over, the rollover won't take place until the new financial year, so it won't necessarily allow for any additional funding in the sponsorship budget for this year, which is being closed for new applications.
No,
currently.
I really meant the next financial year. So
it should allow for an additional $6,000 of sponsorship under next year's budget.
Fantastic. Okay. Thank you.
So can we work on the assumption that we will be allocating the same amount of money next year to the same?
Yes, it's per the budget that was presented today. The budget amounts for sponsorship and for the Events Assistance Program and also for the Community Assets Program have remained the same.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks, Councillor Batten. That was carried as per the recommendation. Thank you. Item number 13, the Community Assistance Program. Can I have a mover, please? Round 2. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Poole, seconded by Councillor Rawson. Is there any questions or comments? No, thank you. I will put that then. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. Item number 14, the 2024 Destination and Visitor Economy Conference. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Poole. So the recommendation or the motion is that we nominate 2 councillors. Is any councillor interested in attending?
Yes, I would like to attend that one, please.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd be interested in, if Jenny and others are not interested in going, there's a couple of items on that agenda that would, I think, interest us, including the item about the tourism, agritourism, which I think might be pertinent to come on.
Thank you. No. Okay, thank you. Is there any other nominations? No, sorry, we got Councillor Oldham and Councillor Batten.
Just through you, Mr. Chair, suggesting it is, I believe, am I right, Rebecca Yagara is up for a nomination. Would the acting chair be interested in putting a nomination to be in the mix? We have to vote on the 2 to go, but it's just.
Do we know
noting
whether that? Would we know in advance whether that was successful or not? Maybe.
Not usually. They like
No.
to get you to take a.
I'm
Take a
happy.
place.
I'm happy to just go on the reserve list if councillors Oldham and
I was going to
Batten
say,
can't
I'd
attend.
be happy to step back as
No, no.
as an alternative to
No,
yourself
no.
if it was appropriate for the Deputy Mayor to go.
No, we'll just reserve. Generally, we
Well, we've got usually traditionally sent 2. Councillor Oldham went last year, so the other 2 councillors didn't go. So I suppose you could have those 2, but it's up to council to but we don't increase to 3 because traditionally we send 2. So, but if the deputy mayor wants to take a reserve seat, it's a matter for council.
Yeah, it's a matter for council, but if council's happy, I'm just happy to go on the reserve list. Noting too that it is our council meeting day for May.
I think you should go if it's if it's Yagara, you should be there. You've done lots of work there, and I think,
Particularly you.
yeah, and I'd like to see Councillor Batten go as well. I could actually move 3.
I think, yeah, obviously Councillor Oldham's very keen to go. So yeah, well, I'll just start on the reserve list. That's fine. Thank you. And hopefully we do get a win there. I know that the leader of Community Economy and Culture has done fantastic, and her team and some consultants, some local photographers and videographers have done a fantastic job in pulling together an itinerary and a fantastic little video to promote Yagara that will obviously be put us in the mix there to ensure that they're competitive in the tiny top tourism town award, but also be good for promotional of our region into the future. So thank you. So I'll put that. Yep, so just to clarify, so I'll put that now. The 2 delegates will be Councillor Oldham and Councillor Batten, and I'll be the reserve. So if everyone's okay with that, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried, thank you. Item number 15, electrifying Cabon. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor Rawson. Are there any comments or questions? Councillor Paul, as the mover, Councillor
Thank you,
Batten.
Mr. Deputy Mayor. Yeah, I just want to commend this this recommendation to council. The Environment, Innovation and Energy Committee, we discussed this, and the thing about it is that what it does is it actually pulls together a whole lot of elements that are really important for the future of council in terms of this particular space. If you look at the Renewable Energy Action Plan, that's one thing. We're looking at developing the emissions reduction plan and the electric vehicles transition plan. Individually, they look okay, but when you actually pull the whole lot together, the opportunity that presents to Cabon for us to get really on the front foot and do something about, our impact on climate change, and reduce some costs. I mean, we've already got some pretty significant reduction in costs, I think, from people who remember in terms of replacement of the ageing electricity in the streets across the board. And there's been some pretty significant improvements in actually reductions in cost, way and above what we actually estimated to be. I think what we've actually got here is an opportunity to actually build on that and take Cabon right in, for the next period of council, right into the future. So I commend this item to councillors.
Thank you, well said.
Just a comment, and I know there's probably 500 or 600 people at home watching this video of this meeting now that don't actually read the business papers, but there's a key paragraph here which I just wanted to read out. The program is intended to co-fund energy efficiency and electrification upgrades for local governments to deliver reduced energy bills, hence my question at lunch, and emissions from local government owned and/or operated facilities. So with that, it's hard enough, we all know it's hard enough paying our own personal electricity bills, so if we can reduce the cost to council, absolutely, certainly.
Thank you, Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Obviously, I concur with the comments made by other councillors, and I congratulate staff for pulling this together. I think it's an excellent document, and as Councillor Batten said, it does pull together other policies of ours into something which is a coherent whole, which works really well. I just wanted to make a quick comment about, in the message from the Mayor, Kevin Beattie, there's a mention there of the renewable energy target, and it's a mention of a committing Australia to source 20% of its electricity from renewable energy sources by 2020, which of course has already occurred. So that's something that probably needs to be updated, and I can do that by telling you that in fact the new target is 82% by 2030. So the new federal government have upped that to 82% by 2030, which I think is a more powerful number to be mentioning at this point. And it really drives home the need for us to have targets, to have our own targets to meet those sort of needs. And this document and this policy will go a long way towards that. One thing I also want to draw people's attention to is the elephant in the room in terms of our emissions, is our emissions from landfill waste. So while the electrified Cabon component of it is going to be really, really useful and very powerful, we've still got to get on top of emissions from landfill waste. So I think that the next council will probably need to put a lot more effort into sort of dealing with that particular problem. But I commend, like Councillor Batten, I commend this document to the council.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 16, the electric vehicle fast charging station for Molong. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Rawson. So the recommendation is that we consider the attached concept plans and determine a preferred site. Can I suggest to the mover and seconder that we go with option A, as outlined in the report? It's probably the best of the two options provided. Councillor Nash, are you happy with that? Councillor Rawson as the seconder.
As well, I wanted to ask a question.
Yep.
Both options are in the floodplain and will, without a shadow of a doubt, be inundated by floodwaters at some point, potentially floodwaters that have a lot of debris. And so the question I'm asking is, how safe is this equipment going to be, or how flood resilient is it going to be, given that it's not just water inundation, but also protection from debris coming, with a high velocity flow.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The latest flood study shows that the velocity at this site isn't overly great comparative to the rest of the floodplain. So from a flood debris point of view, reduced risk than other locations, particularly when considering the original site was the railway station, which has significant velocity going through it. Knowing that we're constructing this in the floodplain, yes, we will be taking steps to ensure that its resilience is in place, and that'll be put onto the contractor to make sure that measures are put in place to be able to protect the infrastructure, make sure that we're not continually going in and out and replacing it. But the level of what has to be done is dependent on which location it goes into and what can practically be put in place.
Apart from this particular option, which that's fine, has there any thought going into further, perhaps up, say, at the community centre, having somewhere there that could also be charging stations different to this?
Through you, Mr. Chair. This is a site that's been deemed to be a secondary site by NRMA, who obviously are key in this funding arrangement and grant. I would suggest that likely the next sites would be other sites in Cabon, if it was going to be this sort of arrangement. As far as we just moved the Electrify Cabon situation, so that's something that could be looked at in that package of works. But at this stage, in as far as public parking, this site has been deemed very quickly, because we had a lot of difficulties in the original site, in the railway site, which we report, was delayed. So we really can't move on the ground too quickly further anywhere else. This is our quickest, easiest option. Otherwise, we'll miss the opportunity of having any of them. But that is still obviously an ideal site for a electrical charger, but it's not likely to be one of these public very fast chargers that are commercially orientated, because there's other sites that come in a close second. I think from memory, Cadell might have been not far off on the throughput of passing traffic as you come through Canowindra there. So there's other sites that would probably take precedence before we get there on this sort of arrangement. Does that sort of answer your question?
Yes, I understand that. I was just thinking of the future when these are good with Cadell and other places.
Yeah.
It's just, and not necessarily these NRMA ones, but
Yeah.
anyway, just.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Councillor Paul.
Yeah, I'd be happy to be guided by the Northern-based councillors on the position in the car park. You're here all the time.
Well, I know the NRMA, they're funding it, but they will be ours. We will be responsible for them.
It's a lease agreement my understanding. So what it is they own the infrastructure, but they pay us a negotiator, as it says in the report, to lease, for want of a better term, the car parking spaces. So that's how it sort of works. Yep. We won't have our staff down there tinkering with it. No.
Thank you. Any other comments? So, sorry,
Excuse
Councillor
me.
Nash.
Yeah, excuse me, Mr. Chair. I just think that it's a great spot for the street, like for people to be able to walk up and do their shopping. I think it's going to be a great thing for Marlborough, yeah.
Thank you. So just to clarify, the motion would now read that we consider the attached concept, we've considered the attached concept plans and determined option A as the preferred location, and then delegating it to the General Manager for negotiations. Yes, I had Councillor Nash moved it and Councillor Rawson seconded that. You're okay with that, Councillor? Yep, Councillors? Yep.
I don't have a particular view about option A or option B, other than, as other councillors have said, Molong residents and Molong councillors will probably have a better idea of which is, and the staff will have a better idea of which option, but either is fine. Yeah.
Thank you. I will, if there's no further discussion, I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item number 17, the Molong Flood Study, March 2024. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Rawson, seconded by Councillor Weaver. Sorry, I had a mental block. Councillor Weaver, is there any discussion? Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Yes, this is a great document, and I commend it to Council to have a really good read through it. Some of the results emanating from the report are a little bit scary. For example, the peak PMF, which is the probable maximum flood, which is something that rarely, if ever, is ever going to be attained, except in almost a Yagara situation. Is actually not far below this building where we are sitting in at the moment. It's only next door is the level of the PMF, and that's really, really high. And if ever we have a situation in the future where we get close to a PMF, that's a massive flood and a huge amount of damage. That's the first scary thing. The question I would like to ask is about solutions. We've now got this report, which is a very diligent report, and I am happy with the modelling that I've seen that they've done. The hydrologic modelling and the hydraulic modelling, there's two different models that are involved. But at some point, we then have to take that information and the next step. Now, there's a mention there of the Molong Flood Risk Management Plan. Can I get some words about when that is likely to emanate?
For you, Mr. Mayor, the floodplain risk management plan is underway currently. We've already started having technical workshops with the consultants on those, and they're going forward with some scenarios to be brought forward to the floodplain risk management committee to move forward on that. The time frame on that is towards the end of the calendar year, around the October mark. It could be September, but let's work on October.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Just on that, are you looking at all options, including modification to catchment management, as in dealing with what happens up in the catchment, changes to land use, changes to the way in which we operate our dam or dams that exist upstream, whether or not that is going to be part of the management mix? or is the focus going to be on solutions that occur within Molong itself?
Through Mr Mayor, the usual process is that high-level pass over all foreseeable options, and then narrowing down to the most economic solutions. So, for example, within the flood study, it's indicated about $8 million worth of damage in the 1 in 100 year flood event. That arbitrary figure is what is used by the state government to determine the basis of what council should be planning for. And so that $8 million then becomes that that buoy or that anchor to what council should be aiming for to be able to achieve a cost-benefit ratio of 1, which is $8 million of expense and $8 million worth of benefits to the community. So that $8 million will probably define what can be reasonably afforded in that $8 million. If you start talking about flood mitigation dams, for example, $8 million is a very small amount that's needed to be able to build such infrastructure, but when we have a look at more localised solutions around Molong, it becomes a lot more practical to be able to deliver within that financial amount.
Thanks for that, Matt. I think we need to manage expectations, community expectations about what can be achieved and what really can't be achieved. And I think one of the outcomes of this report, the key outcome really of this report, is that Molong, particularly Molong CBD, is in the middle of a floodplain, and it's always ever going to be affected by flooding in some way. And there's no engineering solution, I think, that's feasible that is going to remove that risk altogether. It just won't happen. So the best we can possibly do is to reduce the risk or reduce the impact, and also potentially to modify planning rules, even if that's one avenue to go down. Modify planning rules to deal with that impact. It's not going to go away. In fact, if anything, it will get worse, or potentially get worse. So that we have to manage that expectation. Thanks.
Yeah, I just want to make a comment. It's probably worth noting that whilst this is a flood study for Molong, the reality is that some of the actions to mitigate the risk in the future have already been undertaken. And in particular, we can note the removal of the former bowling club, which was a community church building at the recreation ground, the removal of the house that we bought, which on Gasworks Lane. So I think people can be reasonably confident that some of what's actually highlighted here, our staff through the Deputy General Manager Infrastructure have already undertaken. Whilst it doesn't address all of the issues, it is a step forward. And I think it's probably worth noting that we're not sitting on our hands. Our staff aren't just sitting there waiting for the next flood to happen and then do another flood study. There's actual action being taken already.
Yeah, I'll just comment on that, if that's okay through you, Mr Chair, that's exactly what in the Flood Committee we've been discussing ad nauseum, to understand that there's no, as Councillor Rawson's pointed out, as you pointed out, there is no single big thing that's going to fix this problem, but what we've got to do is, as far as reasonably practical, do everything we can when we can with the funding available to chip away and mitigate, reduce the risk. And that's not just for Molong, it's going to be the same story for Yagara, it's going to be the same story for Canowindra and the other towns, because you know, if it was an easy or simple problem to fix, it would have been fixed by now. But we've got hopefully some good impetus to get some good things done, and hopefully this risk management plan will open up some funding to some of these concepts that Matt's talking about.
Thank you. If there's no other discussion, I will put that item 17. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That is carried. Thank you. Item 18, proposed road reserve purchase adjacent to lot 1184 DP 117943 Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Nash. Seconded by Councillor Poole. Any discussion?
I'd just
Councillor
like
Poole.
probably a question on the way the business papers are. Should it only be number 3 first and then come back to 1 or 2? Because we seek a property valuation that comes in at 5 cents a metre squared. Maybe we don't want to sell it.
Deputy General Manager.
A bit to unpack with that, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Acting Mayor. First point is that by resolving this, council is recognising that the land is superfluous to council's needs and that it doesn't have any future value for any strategic use that council has. Whilst the valuation is important, the need for that land is nothing, and therefore it means more to the property holder than what we are. We're bound by fair value under the Just Terms Compensation Act. So the valuer that goes out and has a look at it will consider all aspects with regards to council's future ability to be able to use this land, which we've recognised is not a lot. In saying that, I don't expect the valuation is going to be overly high because that doesn't have any other use other than for the landholder that's there. In saying that, they're not disqualified from being able to use that going forward. The second point is these processes can take quite a long time with regards to closure of roads. It's always easier to acquire roads than it is to close them. So that by going 1 and 2 and progressing that, we're getting ahead of things. So it could very well be that our valuation is brought back and finalised prior to. Furthermore, on dot point 3, for council to accept the valuation, it needs to come back to council for consideration. So the valuation report will be coming back to council to adopt for it. If council is not happy at that stage with the valuation, then council can withdraw the request to close the road documentation.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. It's no use to council, so I'm quite happy for the General Manager to negotiate and see what he can get for it. Yeah.
Councillor Rawls.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Actually, Councillor Paul makes a good point, but the other thing I just thought of was that we've had presentations from some of the bicycling groups in the area who are keen to open up some of these road corridors through the district for bicycle tourism, which I think was something that I think most people seem to be quite happy with, the idea of it. I think it's just something extra in the mix when we do make some decisions about whether or not we offload some of these road corridors, is that the potential use of them for these other tourism opportunities down the track. Just something to consider, that was all. This may or may not be a pathway that had been signalled for use in one of those projects into the future. Something to consider.
Through Mr. Acting Mayor, the suggestion, yes, is that the first pass coming to council officers for consideration of these is any future use that may come about, including walkways, but also particularly in urban settings, potential for water and sewer infrastructure. Will we have to require easements in the future, stormwater, future road use? So there's quite a lot of deliberation on a strategic standpoint on where these parcels stand in the future, and if they do have any strategic note. If they do, then council forwards them through to the property owner, stating that it's not the best option moving forward for council to sacrifice it, and we can consider lease options, etc. going forward. On the same vein, council officers often get requests for closure of Crown roads, which council doesn't manage, and it's the same approach. Council's encouraged to review what the need of those is going forward for its own strategic uses, and we have the option to put our hand up and say no, we object, and then that land is parcels usually handed over back to council for its ownership, and putting on the books away from a Crown Road perspective. So we're getting well versed at assessing the strategic needs for these parcels.
And can I ask if you wouldn't mind including bicycle tourism in the mix? That's really all I was commenting about. I'm sure you do anyway, but it's certainly something that we've had presentations about. It's something that I think is a burgeoning area of tourism interest in our area. And I'm not talking necessarily about mountain biking, you know my views on that, but certainly road cycling and gravel road cycling in particular is becoming incredibly popular, and it's a wonderful tourism opportunity for us. So just keep keep that as part of the strategic thinking. Yeah, thanks.
True, Mr. Mayor, we do always, and we also keep our minds to that ever-growing depreciation problem we've got, councillor. Just a throwaway comment for you.
A question, Mr. Deputy Mayor, if I could. Question of the Deputy General Manager. The property owner has indicated wish to install a new access off Nasdale Lane and close the current arrangement off Cargo Road. With the increasing traffic as a result of the two wineries there, the Salus and Printies at Nasdale Lane, have we got an indication whether that's a safer option than his current arrangement off Cargo Road?
Through you, Mr. Acting Mayor, I personally looked at this site, the access on Cargo Road, and it is a lot safer. The access is right near the rail bridge on Cargo Road, goes over, and if anyone's familiar with that site, there's a bit of an S-bend onto that bridge there, so the site distance is limited. It's not the best location, so eliminating it off Cargo Road and ensuring that we don't have any future access on there would be a big benefit. Nashdale Lane, whilst it has wineries there, still a access place road, so it doesn't get a lot of use and not high in the hierarchy for a council standpoint. So I'm comfortable with an appropriate located driveway off Nashdale Lane.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? I will put that then. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. Item number 19, the proposed road reserve purchase adjacent to lot 255 DP 702687. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Poole, seconded by Councillor O'Brien. Is there any questions or comments? Councillor
It'll be the
Paul,
same question, and I've had it answered. Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you, everyone. For
Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I've had a look at this particular block on Google Earth, and there's actually quite a lot of veg on it, vegetation that's there, which may have an environmental benefit. I don't know what the owners are planning to do with that, but if one of their options was to remove that vegetation, that's taking some veg out of the environment. It's something that needs to be considered. I'm not convinced that this is something that we would really want to do. We want to keep as much crown vegetation in our area as we can. And the bit that they're asking for here is very much vegetated with really big trees. So not really happy with the idea of selling off that if the ultimate aim is to remove them. But obviously we don't know.
For you, Mr. Acting Mayor, the landowner hasn't specifically indicated what they're wanting to do with the land moving forward, nor has the question been asked. So I couldn't offer any guarantees that it wouldn't be removed into the future if they did undertake it. There would be, for any works that were there, particularly major removal of trees and so on, if it modified anything to do with the land use, they'd have to go through an appropriate DA process. The answer to the question is I couldn't tell you what they're intending on doing in the future. Our council would lose control over it in the future.
Thanks, Matt. That would be the point, that we do control a lot of land, particularly on road corridors, which does have an environmental benefit. And I think when we come to selling off these what seemingly small bits of land, they actually do have a benefit beyond just a strip of land on the edge of a property for somebody else. So there's an environmental benefit, there's potential tourism benefit, as I mentioned in the previous one. We should think pretty hard about whether or not we do this, because we are a land manager, as you know, and that involves managing the environment. So the moment we do this, we just hand over the responsibility to somebody else, and I think that's a little bit concerning.
If I can make a suggestion, Mr. Acting Mayor, perhaps with the negotiations with the property owner, council can seek to enter into a positive covenant with the property owner. The process needs to go through a survey plan and a DA process to be able to one, create the lot to be closed, and then to amalgamate it into the overall property. We could seek to have a positive covenant over that vegetation within that process to be able to protect that vegetation.
I think the general manager, deputy general manager, just wants to clarify one more thing.
So through you, Mr. Acting Mayor, as I was stating before, with regards to development processes and so on, the landowner can't just go through and remove trees. There is approvals process to be able to undertake that. But it is agricultural land at the end of the day. So I can't offer any guarantees of what the future holds.
Thanks for that, Matt. Look, obviously, it's hard to tell from Google Earth, but if the trees that are there are, introduced trees, pine trees, that sort of thing, then, as far as I'm concerned, they're fair game. But if it's native vegetation, then, it becomes part of the mix of the environmental mix. So, and there's really not a lot else in the vicinity of that particular spot, because it is completely surrounded by agricultural land, by orchards and so on. So it's just the principle of we need to keep the environmental value of the land that we have control over in the mix when we're making these sorts of decisions.
Thank you, Councillor. Did you wish to move an amendment? I'll take that as speaking against the motion as it currently reads. Did you want to move an amendment, or?
I'm happy to vote against it. I don't need to make an amendment. Yeah, I'll move against.
Well, my main worry with this would be the sure that it will not increase the risk to vehicles or pedestrians? There was a objection that it would be narrowed. Is it is that a real objection, or is that right?
Through you, Mr. Acting Mayor, the road action itself was not actually affected by this proposal. It's the road reserve. As Councillor Rawson's pointed out in the discussions, it is heavily wooded at the moment, so it doesn't actually serve a purpose for the road functioning itself, and it wouldn't restrict the width of the road any more than what's already there.
Does anyone wish to speak for the motion? Anybody else wish to speak against? Any other questions? Then I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Against? Councillor Rawson, you wish to have that recorded? Yeah. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Councillor. So, Councillor Rawson and Councillor Oldham are against. Oh, Ryan, sorry. Another senior man. Are against that, but passed. Yeah, Councillor Ryan, you would like your name recorded as well? Thank you. Yeah, we'll record both of those names, please. Thank you. Item number 20, questions for the next meeting. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Nash. Are there any questions? Okay, I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item number 21, business paper items for noting. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Rawson, seconded by Councillor O'Ryan. Are there any items councillors wish to call? Yeah. So Councillor Rawson called item number 6. Hang on, just before we do that, is there any other items for calling? No? Councillor Rawson.
Oh, really, I was just going to make a comment about the massively improved median days of processing times, and congratulating staff, presumably Deputy General Manager and planning staff for massively improving that application processing time, which is fantastic, given the condition, given the situation that we've been left with in terms of lack of planning staff over the years. That's fantastic.
Thank you. Agree. Thank you. If there's no other items, I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item number 22, matters of urgency. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor O'Ryan. Are there any matters? I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. Item 23, committee of the whole section of the meeting. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor O'Ryan, seconded by Councillor Nash. Oh, sorry. That's 3 times I've done that today. But Councillor Nash seconded, moved by Councillor Oldham. I will put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Thank you. We will pause for a moment.